Over my years as a realtor in Waterloo region, I've had the pleasure of meeting plenty of successful person. Here are some of their stories. Welcome to People Around Town. Well, welcome back to People Around Town. I have a local legend here. Not to discount the other folks that have come through, but when I came up with the idea to have this podcast, when I made my quick short list, this gentleman was, I think you're after Lennox Lewis and Jamal Murray.
Oh, there you go.
So top three. Yeah, exactly. So senior development
Senior manager, market development.
Senior manager, market development for Melloul-Blamey Construction.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. And on top of that, some people might somewhat recognize him without his full red threads and big old hat. Alter ego, Constable, Archibald F. Inkster of the RCMP. Not officially, but on stage definitely.
That's right. You've done well. You've researched.
Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, again, another first for People Around Town podcast, a Kitchener-Waterloo, I believe, Man of the Year, Citizen of the Year.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a big deal. Whatever. And something about a Queen's Jubilee Medal Award winner.
Three of them.
Just three.
You get old and they have run out of people. So they...
The one and only Neil Aitchison. I am so happy to have you on.
Darryl, nice of you to have me.
You know what? And it's funny how it had to take, and it happened just this week. Again, I reached out a few other methods, but I find the personal touch goes a lot longer to somebody that's probably getting emails upon emails from a bunch of people looking for his time. I just had the pleasure of watching him try to illegally park in a handicap spot. But I happened to have the spot right behind him, so we made a trade.
I figured that car was leaving soon, and I would just back up.
So it's funny what you do when a guy needs a haircut. And the haircut looks great, I'm happy to have you on. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so we're going to start with the starting of the story here, and I believe you grew up in Harriston, Ontario, correct?
Harriston, Ontario, that's right. Population 2,000. And, it's been that way all my life since I was a kid. It seems every time a baby's born, some guy leaves town and never stays. It always just stays the same.
Well, that's good because I don't think they're going to run out of water that way.
No,
so
we have fresh, naturally fluoride water in Harriston.
Naturally Floridian water.
I came to Kitchener-Waterloo without a single cavity.
Yeah.
This is good coffee.
It is. So, based upon you've come to Kitchener-Waterloo, you grew up there. My first ever recollection of you was at an MC. You emceed an event for Habitat for Humanity, I believe.
Okay.
And I was just new into the real estate industry at that point in time. Probably that was 16 years ago. And immediately I said, wow, I need to meet that fella.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, one of my involvements in the community tends to end up being an MC for one thing or another.
Right.
And I've... the mayor's dinner, I'm into my 30-some years of 35.
Wow.
And I just had to talk to them the other day, and they're disappointed I won't be there this year on April 11th because I'm on a 18-day Hawaiian cruise celebrating my wife's birthday, and we leave the 9th of April.
That seems like a legitimate way.
It was a real excuse, so I've sicked them on Mike Farwell.
Okay.
And he said, well, maybe because April 11th, he knows for sure the Rangers are going to be in the playoffs. And if that happens to be a playoff day, he won't be available either.
So now the pickings are slim.
Well, they'll find somebody.
Sure. I would throw my hat in the ring to recommend somebody else. I am not doing that. So you seem to have a gift of gab. And you seem to find humor in mostly everything. It seems to be.
That's my goal, and that was really how I got into humor, was a means of self-defense as a kid.
Okay.
High school was not my favorite place. Like, I loved high school. I was in cadets. I was the commanding officer. I was the student president. I was the captain of the hockey team. But I was not a good student.
Okay.
And when I went to school, if you missed math and science or two subjects,
Yes.
you missed your year.
Okay.
And I always missed math and science because I refused to learn theories and formulas that I knew I would never use.
Right.
And here I am, 78, and I was right because I've never used them yet.
Math.
Arithmetic, I was
Arithmetic,
excellent.
sure. Yes.
But when it became mathematics, no, I'm not interested.
No.
I could add and subtract and divide with the best of them, but when it became theories and formula, and then I stayed there long enough that the new math came in.
Oh, gosh.
And if you missed your year back then, you missed your year. You had to repeat.
Right.
So I failed high school 4 times.
Graduated at 26?
I went to summer school twice. I bashed off a 51, so they'd move you along. And I didn't quite get grade 12.
So do you think that going to summer school was a subconscious way to not have to work on the farm as much?
No, I just had to be there. I was only there till noon, and then I had to get back to work.
And you weren't escaping anything in that regard.
My uncles were counting on me to drive the tractor and bale the hay. So anyway, I got a job working in the slaughterhouse. After 1967 was our centennial year. And a couple of buddies and I bought an old 1950 Ford from a lady in town. It was 17 years old, but it only had 17,000 miles on it.
Wow.
And we drove it across Canada. That was my goal, was to see Canada. And we went to Victoria, and then we came home through the States, and then we went to Expo 67.
Wow.
And we had a ball, and we came back. We sold the car for $100 more than we paid for it. And I got a job in the fall then in the slaughterhouse. And I got a day off one day, and I borrowed my dad's car, and I drove around the high school to wave at my friends who were still in there. And the principal saw me. He said, "Come over here, Red." And so in I went. And I said, what are you doing? And I said, "I'm working at the slaughterhouse in Harriston." "My God, man, that's no place for you." I said, "Well, it's warm for the winter, and I got to do something."
Right.
He said, "There's a college opening up in Kitchener.
Ah.
Radio, TV, arts, no maths, no sciences."
Oh, he knew your transcripts.
He knew me very well.
Yes.
He knew every student. There was 1,000 kids. He knew us all by name and by family.
Oh, wonderful.
He was there for 38 years.
Wonderful.
Ephraim Gray. Eph Gray was his name. A lovely man. And so he said, "This college is opening up, Conestoga College, but it's behind schedule. It's not going to open till January." I said, "I'd love that. That sounds fabulous, but I'd never get in with my marks." He said, "It's a new school.
They'll take anybody?
They need students. I'll write your letter. You'll be a mature student." So I was 20,
Okay.
and I got in on a letter from Eph Gray on probation.
Yes.
And I promised my mom I wouldn't get involved in everything else. I'll just study and be a good boy. And before I got home, after the first month there, the Kitchener Record had a picture of me on. I was elected as student president.
Wow.
The first student president.
Hey!
And so then I went on, and I loved it. And for all those years in high school, I remember this old teacher. She had long red hair and short white roots, and she said, "Aitchison, you're a useless, non-directed, obnoxious person. You think you're going to amount to anything in this life, forget it."
Interesting.
And I'd say, "Could you give it to me straight?" And I could make the kids laugh, and I used humor as a means of self-defense against teachers primarily.
Right.
I could get a laugh, and I knew I could make the kids laugh, and I'd get tossed out, and that's what I wanted, to go out for a smoke. And so anyway, when I got to college, instead of telling me to sit down and shut up and wipe that stupid smile off your face,
they encouraged it.
They wanted me to stand up and tell them another story. And I majored in oral and written communications as opposed to the technical side.
Sure.
And after 3 years, I got honors, taking what I liked, and I was student president again the third year.
Wonderful.
And then I was the first student appointed to the Board of Governors for a 7-year term, which I considered my continuing education. And I really had I had a whole new renaissance, a revival in life. I was a screw up in Palmerston High School.
Yes.
But here I was doing fine.
Well, because you're in your lane.
And so I billed myself as the first graduate, too, because broadcasting was the first program, and Aitchison, alphabetically, was the first kid to walk across the stage.
That's good. So there was no Abraham last name. You got lucky on that one.
AIT. So I was first, and I became friends with many people. The board of governors had introduced me to people here and there. And when I graduated, back then, 100% of the graduates had jobs.
Sure.
In the industry.
That's right. Yeah.
And in fact, we had more jobs than we had grads. So I had 3 offers: Wingham, Barrie, and Kitchener. Barrie and Wingham were going to be writing and reporting, and Kitchener was sales. And I didn't want to be a salesman. I didn't think I envisioned a salesman as somebody with an armful of books going door to door, or vacuum cleaners and slamming doors in your face. But basic greed led me to try it because it paid $135 a week.
Okay.
And it was $95 or $85 a week at the other two.
Well, and
1970.
And writing also is one of the R's.
Oh yeah, well I liked writing. I was good. English was one of my favorites.
You're good with that. Okay.
And so, but I could write commercials and write news, and read. But I took a chance because I liked Kitchener-Waterloo. I wanted to stay here.
You're happy in Kitchener-Waterloo.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And I still to this day say Kitchener-Waterloo as the convenience of the city, yet the comfort of the country.
Fair. Makes sense.
And it still felt like my hometown because you could go downtown here and people say, "Hi Neil, how are you doing?" And we could talk, and it was small town enough that I really felt comfy here.
Good.
Loved going to Toronto, but always made me happy to come
back home. Yes.
And so I got into radio advertising sales, selling an intangible. If I sold you this, you could feel it, touch it, smell it.
Yes.
But airtime was
different.
And it's different than selling real estate or selling something physical. And so it turned out I actually didn't do badly at it. I was within the first 10 years, I was the number 1 sales rep out of 10.
Out of 10.
And then they made me general sales manager, where I stayed for another 14 years.
Wonderful.
Until Lecter Home, that owned the radio and TV station, divided and split us up and sold the radio off. And suddenly then we were owned by Chum in Toronto, and they called it restructuring.
Sure.
We called it firing.
Firing, yes.
They let all the senior people go.
And it's simple as that.
And so then I thought, well, now this is, what am I going to do now? But I had been picked up by a speakers bureau in Toronto, and I did workshops, humor workshops, and I spoke all across this country and into the States. And
on humor workshops?
Yes.
Okay, so
the power of laughter.
I'm not going to forget the power of laughter at all.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious that some people are afraid of a microphone. You, on the other, to me, it's almost like you eat microphones. Like, sounds good. That one looks tasty.
I have been accused of never meeting a microphone I didn't like.
Do you remember the first microphone you've ever met?
Yes, in Harriston.
What happened?
I was 18 or whatever, and Scotty McLean, my hockey coach, called me and he said, "Aitchison, you red-headed son of a bitch," he said to me. That's how he talked to me.
With love.
He was the shipping foreman at Canada Packers, and I worked on the dock as a student.
Yes.
And the Kinsman and the Harriston Arena Committee were bringing Don Messer's Jubilee to Harriston.
Okay.
And they were going to fill the arena with Don Messer and his Islanders on the big stage made out of a couple of hay wagons.
Good enough.
And he asked me to MC it.
Really?
He told me to MC it. And so I was up and I said, Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Down East music of Don Messer and his Islanders.
Wow.
'Cause that's how they said it
So,
on
yeah.
CBC.
Yes.
And I had a great time. And that was the first time I remember doing something. And they gave me $100 or something for my time. As an expense. And I said, wow.
So you knew you were, at that point in time, you knew you were good at something.
Well,
Just
I
the
told
question
my
was,
grade 9 counselor, guidance teacher.
Yes.
He asked me what I'd like to be when I grow up. And I said, I'd like to be, I think, a comedy actor.
Okay.
And he said, get serious now. Come on. This is serious. Smarten up. Do you want to work in the bank or what now? Come on. You got to plot your course.
Sure.
So from that day on, I just put a big X on the sheet and signed my name and handed it in because I knew they weren't there to help me.
Correct. It didn't seem to be the case, except for your principal.
Except for the principal in 1982, which I got out of there. I always say I was released in 1967. And so in 1982, I was invited to come back as the baccalaureate speaker at the commencement.
Really?
And so the first thing I did was walked across the stage and turned around and walked back and said, so that's what it feels
like.
And then I told about that guidance teacher who told me to sit down and shut up and wipe that stupid smile off your face. And I talked about how, and I had to rub it in a wee bit. I said, I paid income tax this year more than a high school teacher earns.
There you go.
I was doing well in commission
Sure,
sales.
yeah.
And I got a standing ovation except for the guidance counselor. So, but it was a great experience.
Felt good.
And I told them I didn't graduate. I said I was released.
Yes.
And a number of months later, the principal from that school came to my office in Kitchener at the radio TV station. My secretary said, there's a Mr. Bradstock here to see you.
Ooh,
I said, yeah, what's he want? And he had a big brown wrapper under his arm folded. And he said, I just want to come. I brought you a cassette tape of your speech in case you wanted it. And this. And he opened it. It was an honorary secondary school graduation diploma.
Hey!
Signed by him and Principal Eve Gray, Principal Emeritus. And it had the Province of Ontario seal. And it was all framed and matted and done in calligraphy.
And you did it your way.
So I graduated from college in 1970, and I got to high school in 1982. And I phoned my mother and told her I got my diploma, and she wept.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, this is going even better than I thought. Now, the power of laughter is very strong within this one. And whenabouts and how about did Archibald F. Inkster come about?
Alex Moustakis, who's the artistic director and founder of Drayton Entertainment, and I was his wingman, have been for all these years. I took him to Drayton. He didn't know what or where Drayton was, but he and I corresponded the old-fashioned way with pen and paper. When he graduated from business in Laurier, he went to City University in London to study his master's in theater arts.
All right.
And we wrote letters back and forth, and he said, when I come home, I'd still like to perform, and but I want to direct, and I'd like to have my own place. And he said, have you ever heard of a place called Drayton? And I said, of course.
Down the road.
12 minutes from where I went to school. And I knew everybody in Drayton.
Yes.
We all went to the same district school. So he and I had already worked with KW Musical Productions and KW Gilbert and Sullivan Society.
Oh.
And he'd already cast me many times as the loud guy with a hat, the character role. Never kiss the girl, but always get the laughs. And so
he could write in a different part for you.
Yeah. So anyway, he phoned me, and once we got Drayton up and running, I was a founding member of the board. I'm still on the board of Drayton. And he said, I'd like to do a show about Canada. And that was when Chrétien was in power, and Mrs. Chrétien chased off a couple of intruders who got past the sleeping Mounties at the front gate of Sussex Drive.
Yes.
And she chased them off with an Eskimo carving. and got them out of the place. This is all true.
Yes, yes.
So he said, I think there's a show there. So we wrote a show called Bending the Bows.
Okay.
And it took place with Frank Leahy, a country fiddler, and Eduard Minovich, a classic Russian violinist.
Okay.
And these two were competing, bending the bows between classic and country. And it was going to take place at 24 Sussex Drive.
Perfect.
And we had the stage decorated with drapes and columns. And when people came up the stairs to the second floor landing, there was a security desk at the front with a TV monitor and a phone and a clipboard and a desk, and I was sitting there in a Mountie suit, sound asleep. And people walked past me to go into the theater. And then every once I'd wake up at 8 o'clock and I'd wonder, how the heck do you get in here? And that was the playoff on what was in the news.
Okay, yeah.
And it worked. And so he and I wrote the show, and we'd just get a jar of whiskey.
Yes.
And we'd sit down, and if we both laughed,
It was going
went
in. Yeah.
And he said, well, who are we going to call this guy? I said, well, Norman Inkster was the commissioner of the Mounted Police back then.
Yes.
And Archie Bunker was huge on TV.
Oh, that makes sense. Yes.
So I said, we'll call him Archibald Inkster. And then we put the F in just for fun.
Yeah.
Because the fiddle player kept calling me Finkster.
Okay, yeah, yep.
And that's how the show began. And so that character is coming back this year for his 8th time, that Mountie.
I did not know that.
Yes. And so we did Canadian Looney when the money changed to a coin.
Yes.
Then we did Canadian Toonie.
Yes.
Then we did Sorry, I'm Canadian.
Yes. Sorry, I'm Canadian. That's the one I remember well.
Then we did Sorry, I'm Canadian 2.
Okay.
Number 2.
Yes.
Then we did Canadian Legends.
Yes.
And then we did Canada 151, a year after our 150th.
Yes.
We called it Canada 151, better late than sorry.
Yes.
And now this one's called Sorry, I'm Not Sorry.
Oh, that's perfect.
So we opened in June this year at the St. Jacobs at the St. Jacobs Schoolhouse Theatre, the Hildebrand Schoolhouse Theatre, and it's a 12-week run, 7 shows a week for this old body.
I think you can do it.
And I was just in last week for a fitting, and the uniform still fits.
Yes.
And that is a real Mountie uniform. A friend of mine retired from the Mounties in BC and moved back to Waterloo, and he's a brother of former police chief Harold Bassey.
Yes, okay.
And his name was Earl Bassey. And I said, Earl, I need a Mountie uniform. Yeah, I got one, you can have it. And he was not supposed to do that. He was supposed to turn it into, but I got it. And it fit perfectly.
Yes.
But his feet were only size 8, and I wear 11s.
So it gets a little bit trickier there.
So I phoned another old Mountie I knew, Gord Elkier. He owned the Waterlot restaurant in New Hamburg.
Didn't relate to Mike Elkier then as well?
I don't know.
Okay.
And Gord, I said, what size are your feet? He said, 11. Why? Who wants to know? I said, where are your Mountie boots? He said, they're in the basement. They were dried up and dusty, and so we took them to an Elmira harness maker, and he oiled them and rubbed them and cleaned them all up, and I still have them today.
Okay, so book your tickets again. What's the date for that?
June 2 through August 22.
June 2nd through August 22nd at the St. Jacobs.
Hildebrand Schoolhouse Theatre in
St. Jacobs. Hildebrand Schoolhouse Theatre in St. Jacobs. Book it.
And it's selling already, but we haven't written it yet, so Alex and I are meeting next week. Start writing this show.
Well, I feel I should send you home with a jar of whiskey and as thanks and to go towards this amazing event.
We're going to have fun. And I said to him, I hope we're not going to the well once too often, because people say, when's the Mountie coming back? When's the Mountie? And I go with my wife shopping somewhere, and she'll say, don't talk.
Because they'll leave on the
people recognize your voice, and then we talk longer, and it takes an hour more to shop.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been really fun. And when my radio career ended one day, when Chum bought it, the other station called me and said, I want to talk to you about a job. And they were flipping AM from a country to a news talk, 570 AM.
Okay. So I want to come back to radio, and we just sort of jumped ahead there, but that's the way this works. What was your first time, and how did you actually get on the microphone in radio? How did that come about?
Well, when I was a student, we did some work, what do they call it, internship.
Yes.
At radio TV station. And so my first job at CKCO, CKKW, and CFCA as a student was to go and cover the cop shop. I'd go down to Frederick Street in Kitchener.
Yeah.
And I walked right into the chief's office. And they thought, oh, you're not supposed to walk in there. And I said, oh, that's all right, I know him.
Yeah.
Chief Wilf Hendrick.
Okay,
and
nice.
He says, who are you? I said, don't you remember me? You spoke to the Harriston Safety Patrol. I was the captain of the Safety
Patrol
in grade 8. No, I don't remember you. You're not supposed to come in here. I said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I'm just new. I'm at the radio station. And he gave me the docket, what happened overnight, and the police. And I took it back to the station, and they said, that was kind of their local initiation. Where they throw you into a tough old police chief.
Yes.
And you come home with your tail between your legs, and I came home with the full docket. What's going on in court? And so then they said, well, read a story or two. Neil Aitchison here with an update.
Yes.
And I wasn't the anchor man, but I was a reporter.
Sure.
And then TV, I did a couple bits for TV. I remember my first on-camera bit for TV was the bank robbery in Hillsburg.
Okay.
The Royal Bank was robbed in Hillsburg, Ontario, and I went over with a photographer.
Yes.
And I interviewed people on the street. What happened over here? Oh, you should have seen it. It was wonderful.
It was wonderful, all the action.
A small little village. And they had a guy come out with a gun, and he jumped in the car, and he waved. So I reported it. And my dad sent me the greatest letter. He said, tonight we saw Neil make his debut on CKCO.
Oh, geez.
And he wrote a beautiful letter, which I still have. And so that was my first foray into radio. And then, of course, at the college for 3 years, we had an in-house radio station.
Sure.
So I had a program called Neil's Noise. And I played Glenn Campbell and Anne Murray and a lot of...
So after the sales and then Chum came in.
Oh, then when Chum came.
And then after Chum came, obviously that was time for a change.
And then, so all my original training,
yes.
Now I would have a chance to do it because I thought he was offering me a job in sales, and I was asking questions about budget and targets and how many staff, local versus national. And he said, are you talking sales? I said, yeah. He said, no, I want you on the air.
Oh.
I said, doing what? Oh, I want you to host the afternoon drive show. He said, everywhere I go, you're an MC, or you're speaking here or performing there. And I kept wondering why that station didn't have him on the air. Okay. So now you're not at that station anymore. I'd like you to be on the air on my station. That was Wolfgang von Reisfeld. So he was the VP. And so he hired me, and he said, I'm going to get Jeff Hutchison to do the morning show.
Okay.
And he took both of us away, and Hutch did the morning program, and I did the afternoon 4 till 7 or 3 to 7, whatever. And I had a ball.
Yes.
And I knew enough to sign a contract that meant if I get the traffic and weather together on,
yes,
and the newscasts, the rest of the content would be mine. And they said yes.
Oh, wonderful.
So I chose all the rest of the content.
Oh, boy.
And, for example, I phoned my barber, Joe the barber in Waterloo Square.
I know Joe.
And he's got an Italian accent, and I called it Chair Chatter with Joe the barber.
Yes.
And because if anybody knows what's going on and what people are thinking, the barber, he talks to people all week. So every Friday afternoon I'd call him. I'd call him at noon and say, Joe, the topics this time are the Maple Leafs, the potholes on King Street, and what the Prime Minister said last night.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I said, not now, Joe, wait. Wait yes. till I call, and we'll do it live. And he couldn't wait.
Yes.
And people loved him.
Oh, yes. People still love him. Joe's awesome.
Exactly. He's been over 50 years in that barbershop.
G&T Barbershop in the shops of Uptown Waterloo, 75 King Street, South. Yeah.
He came from Italy as a kid. He's been a barber all his life. Now his son Michael is in the second chair. And they've got 2 or 3
And then they got
other
Eddie
barbers.
right beside him there too.
Eddie.
I love to trust bald barbers because every hair is precious.
And Eddie is the son of one of their former barbers who died of
rest
cancer.
in peace. Yeah.
And so, and we had a consultant in Vancouver said, that'll never work. The he's got an accent. I said, so do a lot of people in our community.
That's right. That's right.
And I got to keep him on. And another guy I called every Thursday was a guy named Peter Franklin. He was a cab driver in New York City. And we billed him as the Gabby Cabbie.
You called a New York City cab driver?
Every Thursday.
Oh, I missed these times.
And it didn't matter if he was at Times Square or United Nations. He'd pull over and take my call. He'd have a senator in the back seat. And he billed himself as the last white English-speaking cab driver in New York. And he was a character. Very Jewish, very New York, and very funny. And I loved him.
How'd you find him?
I found him online.
Okay.
And then because I was born in a small town, my producer said, who's the rock group? I was born in a small town. He would play that song.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'd come on and say, yes, I was born in a small town. And we like featuring small towns. And today we're going to Armpit, Alberta, and talk to Mabel in a lunch counter.
Yeah,
and we'd have set it up earlier in the day. And we did Nova Scotia, we did Yukon, we did wherever. And we'd ask them what's going on in your town and what's up. And people liked that.
Yeah.
And I also did all the authors and the books and the
of course
traditional stuff that talk radio would do. But when Ray Neil, the Governor General, was in town for something at the Valhalla, I asked his people to bring him in 2 hours early, and we'd put him on the air.
Sure.
And he wrote me the lovely, nicest letter of an endorsement for the Speakers Bureau. He said, you have huge rapport with an audience, and you let me talk. You didn't try and make me say what you wanted.
Or funnel you a certain direction, yes.
He was a conservative, and I wasn't, but I really liked the guy.
That's awesome.
And one day I got to interview John Beliveau.
Did you?
And I asked him, why did you turn down the Prime Minister's offer to be Governor General? And he said, because my daughter is dying of cancer, and I'm going to be with her.
Done.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could have cut the air with a knife. And one day I complained I was hungry. I'm always hungry. And so I said it out.
There's some butter tarts in the fridge.
I said it out loud. And Rhonda Fermi from Pepe's Pizza at the corner of Water and Weber sent me a big 2-foot-long hot submarine sandwich with everything in it.
Oh.
And it arrived at the switchboard, and they phoned. They said, there's a delivery here. I said, okay, what's happened? Okay, I didn't know it. And so then this was so delicious.
Oh, those subs
and
are so good.
People in the newsroom smelt it, and they wanted something. I had to put the deadbolt on the lock so they wouldn't all get into the studio. And then it became something new. I said, this will become the afternoon buffet.
Sure.
So I had the charcoal steakhouse. I had Kennedy's in St. Agatha, the rolled ribs. I had pizza places. I had all kinds of people wanting to send me food because I'd talk about them on the radio.
You did early food reviews.
And we had cutlery, and you could hear noises on the air, the dishes, and we had candles. Charcoal sent in one time little lamps with a candle in them. We put them around the studio, and they sent me prime rib, beautiful stuff.
So you were able to talk with your mouth full, and it was okay.
And another thing I did was I asked that our producer and my traffic lady were in the same booth with me.
Okay.
Because traditionally the radio announcer is in another booth talking through a window, and they're out there operating, doing the board. But I wanted them all in because I thrive on live audience.
And rapport.
And most radio announcers like the sacred, safe womb of the studio where they can caress the microphone and they can do stuff with their hands. And I wanted people. So I had them in with me and a microphone in front of each of them, and they were live.
Yes.
And one of my best faux pas was one day I was doing another show, another feature I had called For Crying Out Loud.
I think I remember
And
that.
I'd say, for crying out loud, you see what the mayor did or what somebody... And then I'd go on a rant.
Yes.
And this one was on the Symphony Orchestra, coincidentally, all those years ago. And I said, Winnipeg lost their symphony. Hamilton has lost their symphony. And Kitchener could too if we don't smarten up. For crying out loud, I'd say we don't want our KW Symphony to go the way of the dildo.
Yes.
And there was silence. And Rick, the producer, said, didn't you mean the dodo? And I said, what did I say? And then Sherry, the traffic lady, she says, she says, the dildo is still very much with us. So that thing, and our producer, our sound engineer, Dave Bossy, always recorded my rants. And so he sold that, or he sent it to a blooper collector in Los Angeles. And that thing made a famous bloopers tape that played all across the U.S. So I had some fame there. Anyway, live radio is such a fun medium, and I'm afraid it's dying. Because everybody has their podcast, everybody has their satellite, and there's we had 2 stations, AM and FM, and the other company had 2, AM and FM. And a good advertiser in the market could blanket the community by buying those 4 stations.
True, yeah.
Now you got Jack and Bob and A Faith and all these different FMs, and you've got buses and billboards and computers and online, and it's too much.
I think it's music radio. There's less and less talk radio, and especially in the case of local
and informed people.
Yeah, that's right.
And like CBC, I used to love listening to CBC. My mom raised me on that, and we listened to Bruce Smith, Walter Bowles, and Ed Fitkin every morning.
Yes.
I remember hearing the morning the king died. I remember hearing this. And all the various things that we learned on radio.
Yes.
And now I'm hearing that some of the new cars will soon be coming out without radios. I don't know if that's the truth.
If that's the case, well, I guess I still listen to the radio. I enjoy listening every morning when I'm driving my son to school at 8:20 in the morning. Sorry, 8:20. Get him there a little bit early. Somewhere about 8:08. We got it. If we're tight for time, we take the shortcut this way, right?
Yeah.
I always like to listen to Buffalo AM 550. Listen to all the guys make excuses why the Bills lost. So
why they lost us.
Yeah. It's always fun.
Well, I love radio. I had, when I was in the industry, I had at least every family has 5 radios.
Yes.
Did you know that? Your car, the shop, the bedside, the kitchen.
Yes.
One in the shed or the shop or in the backyard.
Oh yeah.
I even had a radio in the shower.
Oh, okay.
And it was hanging there, and I didn't want to miss what was going on.
Sure.
And now I hardly listen. And for a guy who earned my living selling commercials for 25 years, I record everything on TV now and zip through the commercials.
Well, yeah, that's zipping through the commercials isn't a bad part. Now, let's be honest, moved on, and you're good there. Now, when did Melloul-Blamey come knocking? Because they are an important company.
They're a very important part of my life.
Well, I was about to say in this community, even for me.
Yes. And so anyway, the radio, the talk radio lasted 3 years, and the consultant who didn't like me, he said it was too folksy and too local. Yeah. And they had to have a vote on whether to keep that format. And they couldn't make their mind up here, so they brought the people from Toronto in to vote as well, and I lost 4-3 between local and Toronto people. So they ended the program, and I said, it's got a couple of 3 months left. Pay me out, and I'm gone. See ya.
Sure, yeah.
And that's when Alex Mustaka said, good, because I want you to resign as a board member and become our director of marketing and development, because we were growing from 1 to 7 theaters.
Yes.
So I said that was fine, and I did all that.
And you still have a huge involvement with theater.
Yes.
Well, besides just the performing aspect of it,
I'm
right?
on the board.
You're on the board, yeah.
But I retired as a board member, then became a staff person, a job I held for 6 years, and driving in and out of Drayton every morning.
Yep.
And then Jeff Heinple of Melloul-Blamey, who knows me through Rotary, came up to me one day and he offered me a interview to come in and talk about a job in construction. Construction? What do I know about construction?
You know how to construct a good joke.
And so then they'd say, well, just tell them you're a concrete specialist, whatever. And so he had this job he wanted me to pursue. And that meant an 8-minute commute, and it meant more money and a car allowance. And I thought this would be a good way to wind up my career.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, I think that's good. So I told Alex Mistakis about it. And usually if you quit on Alex Mistakis, you're dead to him.
I have a feeling in your case he just didn't let you quit.
No, so he said, okay, then you become a board member again.
There we go.
And then we'll put you on the next opening, blah, blah, blah. And I've hosted Drayton trips and fundraisers. Being a charitable not-for-profit, the theater would host these trips all over the world.
Yes.
And you get a tax receipt for supporting the theater, and seniors love their tax receipt.
Oh, good point, yes.
And so I did a lot of those things with him, for him, and I set them all up in many cases with the travel agent, who was a guy I went to school with, and ba-doom. He always said, do you know somebody? And I said, do you know someone? So that's been my life with him. It seems that he would always ask me, because Alex is a showbiz.
Oh, he's the guy locally.
He's incredible, but he's shy to ask. That's the other side. When he gets on stage, he owns it. He was Man of La Mancha. He was Don Quixote. He was Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof. He's done some amazing. Plus, he writes and he directs and administers. And he always reminded us that half the word show business is business.
And he doesn't lose. Well, he had
We've never been in the red. Never.
Even throughout the pandemic.
Even throughout the pandemic.
So how did...
Well,
maybe, or I can ask Alex myself. Maybe I should just have Alex on and ask him myself.
Well, you can ask him after I tell you and see if it's...
Let's see if it coincides. Okay, yeah, let's do that.
He was able to save the backstage carpenters and workers. We rebuilt the youth academy up in Waterloo, which we needed to do.
Anyways, yeah.
And that was great. And then we went online on Sunday night, kind of like the old Ed Sullivan TV show.
Yes.
And we did live. We sent this out, emails to all our patrons who were locked at home in COVID.
Yes.
You can watch at Drayton 1 hour every Sunday night.
Oh, perfect. And they look forward to that.
And they look forward to it. And I was hosting it as the Mountie and da-da-da-da-da.
Yes.
And we had all these entertainers came in for free to sing and to talk to our patrons.
It also keeps them in front of everybody as well.
Absolutely. And then we had to do it from a distance. You know, you sat here. We didn't have to wear a mask.
Sure.
And then we started, our 50-50 draw, which we're famous for in the theater.
Yes.
We started online.
50-50.
50-50. To support your theater, keep us going.
Yeah.
We raised $1 million.
On 50-50s.
And that means we paid out $1 million.
Wow.
And that's what kept us alive. And when COVID finished, we opened slowly, and we opened with space seating.
Yes.
We only sold half a house. We had masks at the door for everybody who felt they wanted one.
Yep.
And we went back into it gradually, very intelligently.
Yes.
And we are now back on top.
Well, probably...
250,000 bums in seats, Canada's most successful theater company.
That's awesome.
And we don't owe anybody any money. We have money in the bank. And for 35 years, we've never been in the red and never taken government funding for operations.
An arts
organization.
Take government... Wow.
And that arts organizations are traditionally not profitable and not very... successful because you build sets and costumes and you do a show and then you throw them away.
Right.
Well, with 7 theaters, we transfer shows. and get a whole lot new efficiencies and sustainability, and you kept those actors working longer.
Yes.
And we had people in each community billeting actors.
Yes.
And we reconfigured the stage opening at King's Wharf, Penetang, Drayton, St. Jacobs, and Grand Bend. There's 4 theaters that are 400 seaters, so we had the stage all boxed the same.
Yes.
So you could take a show out and plug it in here, plug it in there.
So what do you see being the future of theater?
Oh, it's very much alive. Theater is energy. Music, it brings people together. It's a
good point.
It's an amazing thing where you can have a communal experience, 400 or 500 people in the same room. Drop the lights, and pretty soon we're breathing together, we're laughing together, we're crying together.
Yes.
And it's an amazing experience to be in a really good live theater. We had a grandma came one time for one of the Christmas pantos. She brought her grandchildren, and the kids were sitting there and said, "When's the movie starting?" And she said, "Oh, this isn't a movie, this is live theater." "What's that?" "Well, you'll soon see."
Yeah, shortly thereafter,
the lights went down, the curtain went up. She said for 2 hours those kids were
enthralled.
She said, now we go back every year. Those kids want to do live theater. And that's one of our challenges in life. We're 35 years old. A lot of our original patrons are gone or too old. Yes. They can't get out-of-country insurance for our trips.
Sure.
We can't do this, we can't do that. That's why we have pantos. That's why we have the Youth Academy. That's why we bring kids on stage in Joseph and in Annie and in these shows that have kids or orphans. And
to keep it alive.
And it's working.
It's wonderful.
Magnificent. And this weekend, on Sunday, I leave with 170 patrons who don't want to fly anymore and can't buy out-of-country insurance. We're taking them to Fern Resort on Lake Couchiching, the other side of the lake from Orillia.
Yes.
And we take over the entire resort. We go up Sunday, we come back Wednesday. It's our midwinter break. And we take entertainers along. We do cabarets for them. They eat like kings. They've got pool tables, euchre tables, bridge tables. We do shows. And I host a few other things like the marriage game. Remember TV, and they used to have a program called The Newlyweds.
Mm-hmm. I do.
These are the nearly deads. But we bring them up, their husbands and wives, and they, it's fantastic. We ask questions. The men go out, and then they come back, and they write on the board what they think their wife will say.
Yeah.
And they're sometimes dead on, sometimes they're far off, and it's a great laugh. And we do the Family Feud.
The whole bit.
And we do those, we have the electronic stuff, we've got the buzzers and everything, bring our sound guys, bring everything in. So it's fun. And this year the theme is Canadiana.
Yes.
And so on Monday, we arrive Sunday, we do a cabaret that night, get everybody acquainted with a happy hour, and then we do the theater and a dinner and a nice theater, and then get to bed. Monday morning we're up bright and early, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We have all these activities.
Yes.
On Monday night is called Canada Night.
Okay, what happens?
And everybody's wearing their Blue Jays or their Maple Leafs or and they have no idea, but the Mountie's going to arrive that night, and he'll be full red
regalia.
surge.
To lay down
I wear my medals. I wear them on my pajamas. And it's just fun. And we make friends on a first-name basis with so many of these patrons. Yeah. But the beauty is also they have these actors. They eat with different people every meal, and they get to know the actors, and we have an inside the actor's studio. We have them on stage with questions of what it's like to rehearse and what it's like to come and do an audition.
Give people the real-life sort of feel and experience.
And they get to know them, and they love them. And they one lady has come 3 years in a row now, one of our elder actors, and they all say, I want to come if Valerie's coming.
Gotcha.
Because she's brilliant. She's performed the East End in England. She did 6 years on Broadway.
Wow.
She's done Stratford, and she loves playing roles. And she was my wife last year in a Christmas show called Merry and Bright, and she was my fake wife. And we had a ball. We did an 8-week run, and I'll tell you, that's what keeps people alive. She's 77. She can sing like an angel, not a warble or a wobble.
Just nails it.
And she's got the best sense of humor. And if she's allowed, she can get naughty.
It's all part of it. It's all ranges of human emotion.
Yeah, she is fun.
Well, it seems like the future is bright, remains bright, and I'm honored to have you on this podcast.
Well, this has been fun.
This is exactly what I was hoping for. First time I think I've been brought to absolute tears here.
Well, I apologize.
No, don't apologize. It's exactly what I was hoping for. Actually, it was more than I was hoping for. Far more than... Anyways, this is why you are a legend here. I appreciate
God
you so
love
much.
You.
The one and only Neil Aitchison.
My pleasure.
And if he comes knocking on your door, well, answer. He might have something good to sell you.
There you go.
All right. Thanks.